All right, totally different topic today. Again, we're still talking about corporations, entities, LLCs, S Corp, C Corp. So just so you know, there's no such thing as an S Corp. It's a filing. Most people don't know that. Like, I own an S Corp. Like, no, your tax is an S Corp.
Right.
Sorry,
right.
totally different topic.
No, that's a good one.
Yeah, let's talk. I asked Eric just off camera, how many entities do you own? And he started to laugh. So let's talk about, whatever you want to share, and why do you own multiples?
Well, I own multiples for asset protection, certainly, because let's say you had 10 properties in one LLC, and a tenant sues over one property, they can get the equity in the other 9 properties.
Yep.
So I would never put 10 properties in one LLC. Okay. Some of my clients in California may put 2 or 3 in one LLC just because of the darn filing fees. But I like separating the properties out, and then I like having the property LLCs be owned by a Wyoming LLC as a holding entity. I'm engaged in film production now, and for each production, we have a separate LLC.
Now, why would you do that?
Well, a couple reasons. One is you get all these great tax write-offs, Section 181 of the IRS code. Yep. So you want to have the accounting clear for each separate film that you make.
And where you film.
And where you film.
The states give different credits too.
Correct. Georgia gives you a 30% tax rebate. I mean, that's why so many studios are opening up in Atlanta. It's all taxes.
You're really making me think now. Ninja needs a studio, and holy cow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so that's one reason. Another reason is with films, you have points, which is really percentage interest. And so for the first documentary we're doing, you have people getting certain number of points.
Yep.
And then the second film, we have a different group of people getting different points. So you wouldn't mix those two films
that'd be hard.
into one LLC. So when you have differing ownership, you set up a new entity.
Gotcha. Have you ever set up any of your entities where it's an entity inside of an entity? We'll get on to holding corp. So that's the next video. We need to make a holding corp video. But let's say, I'll give you an example. I have a construction company, and I do a couple different things. I build houses, and then we have a handyman side. I've always thought it would be really neat to spin off the handyman side into its own LLC, but they sort of work together, right? But there's some limitations, because I'm pretty sure that if I set up that handyman LLC, I couldn't do work for just one corporation. There'd be some issues there. Have you ever heard about something like that?
No, you could have a separate LLC for the handyman business, and it could do just work for your construction company.
Great.
It doesn't have to have other activities or other clients.
Perfect.
Now, you're thinking of when you're an independent contractor.
Yes.
Then you need to have other businesses that you work for, because if you're an independent contractor working 40 hours a week for your construction company, you're really an employee.
Gotcha.
The IRS and the state of California are going to say, no, that is not an independent contractor relationship. It's an employee-employer relationship.
Okay, so then how do you separate let's say that use the handyman company as an example. How do you make that not an independent contractor to where it can always work for the construction company?
Well, it's its own entity.
Okay.
All right, so it's not an individual.
Gotcha.
So that's the difference.
So EIN as opposed to Social Security number.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's really good to know. So for somebody starting a side hustle and they've got a great hustle going, and they're working for one company, if they started in an entity, a legal entity, you're saying that they could continue as that one company as their only client.
Right. So let's say that you're an employee of Ninja Inc.
Yep.
Right. And you want to provide services to Ninja Inc. and they want to hire you on an exclusive basis. If you're the employee, Ninja Inc. is paying half of your payroll taxes.
Yes.
The 7.65%. When you start your new handyman company and work exclusively for Ninja Inc., that's okay.
Yeah.
But Ninja's going to pay a fee to your handyman company, and now you're responsible for both halves of the payroll tax, which is 15.3%.
True.
So in some cases, being the employee would save you money because you're only paying half.
True, that's a good point, but check this out. If you tax it under a certain filing status, like let's say an S Corp, so you're filed as an S Corp, that payroll tax actually becomes an expense to the company, I believe.
Yeah, no, so there's no one right answer.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you just have to work with your CPA and your attorney, but I think having that company, the handyman company, on your own allows you to build your own credit profile. It allows you to build your own corporate history.
Yep.
And someday you may not work for the construction company, or
That's right.
it goes out of business.
Yep.
You've got your own company, you go out and find other work.
Another benefit too is, so a lot of people may be put off and go, oh, I don't want to pay all the self-employment tax. But you have to remember too, the benefits of all the other legal tax loopholes, like being able to write, now this isn't tax advice, but let's say talking about home office deductions, vehicle mileage. When you're an employee, sure, you don't have to pay that percentage of self-employment tax, but you also don't get to write off, going to and from work.
Right.
That's huge.
Right.
I like that a lot.
With the LLC, taxes and S Corp, maximizing the deductions and expenses that you can take, it works out for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
Now I love that you could be working for one company, but then also, like Garrett said, there may be a day where that handyman company, you're a handyman. Well, you're not working for the construction company or Ninja Inc. anymore, but you could also look for other clients, which again is diversifying your income streams, which is massive.
Well, and then you find other clients and you hire somebody to be your employee to work with the other people. So you're able to grow with this entity.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are in this situation. You're either a consultant or you're working for one company in particular. And to be honest with you, it may be a small company that would really love it if you were your own entity, because then you're essentially insuring yourself and they don't have to think about it. They just write you a check, and that's really nice. And it actually opens up a whole avenue. So I want to, let me ask you this. Have you seen this a lot where people they were working for an employer and they turned it into, now it's a business working for the employer?
Sure. And the employer likes it because you're your own company.
Yeah.
Right? And you're going to pay liability issues. You're going to pay their half of the self-employment taxes, which they like. So when you do this, you might want to ask for a little bit more money to cover that.
Great negotiating tactic.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the other thing is, not every employer wants to have so many employees.
Exactly.
Human resource issues, all these issues.
Yeah.
The employer has an agreement with the handyman company, and if things don't go well, instead of having to fire someone and provide unemployment and everything, they just terminate the contract.
Exactly.
With the handyman company. So for the employer, on the employer side, it is an advantage to set those up.
But as well said, because if your employment contract could get terminated, your company's contract, you would want that steady stream of other forms of income, other jobs.
Right. And so if you're an employee, typically you can't go out and look for other work.
Yeah.
If you're your own loan out company, if you will, you can go out and look for other work.
And I love what he said about setting up your own credit profile. That's very, very important. Most people do not understand how important it is and how long it takes to have an entity that has a credit card in not only your name as the owner, but the entity's name, to build credit so that slowly, hopefully, your company is so successful that your company is taking on loans in the corporate number, not your social security number.
Right. And so there are two tracks of credit. You have your personal credit, which we want to be good, but you can develop the business credit.
Yep.
And that way, if your personal credit could suffer for whatever reason, you have this other track of credit that can be useful for your business.
Well, and another thing too is, let's say we go into a massive recession like the Great Recession, and all of a sudden your company loses a ton of business to no fault of your own. At no fault of your own, all of a sudden there's just no business out there. And if all of the credit lines are in your personal name, now your life is being destroyed, literally your credit, and it would be so much nicer if it was in the company's name, because there are things, and banks understand this, and judges too, they get a look at what happened and they could tell real quick, was this something that you did on purpose, or is this completely out of your control? You know? So it's important to keep your personal credit and your family safe financially.
Absolutely. And so you want to build that wall by having these correct entities and having business credit.
Nice.
It takes, it can take 1.5 years, 2 years to build it up, but you want to make sure that you are dealing with companies that will report to the credit agencies in the name of the company instead of your personal name.
And that's a great point there. And something else that people need to understand when you're starting an entity and you're moving out on your own, that when, let's say you want to go and get a mortgage for your own self, you want to move your family into your own home, let's say it's the first home you ever had, a bank will not lend for a certain amount of time. Usually it's about 1.5 years, 2 years, against how much you're making. And I'll give you an example. There was a point where I tried to get a mortgage and I made enough in my company to pay for the house cash in less than a year. They would not give me a mortgage because they said, you have not been working for the company or owned the company long enough.
Right.
And I literally showed, I'm like, wait a minute, I've made that much in the last 8 months. And they're like, we don't care. So people need to understand that too. If you're planning on buying a house and you're about, I'm going to go out and just go, balls to the wall and start my own company, you need to understand that too, that you're really going to be up against some headwinds with banks and lending institutions.
Right. And just plan. It's going to take some time.
Yeah. Totally.
But other people have done it before you. I mean, there's no secret here.
Yeah.
Get that entity started, get your business bank account, and start building your business credit.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Well, guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you got something out of this. Thank you so much, Garrett.
My pleasure.
Let's move on to the next one.